Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Chintai
And I am Dr. Aditi,
and we're both doctors from Delhi. She's currently
pursuing MD medicine from Safdarjung Hospital.
So today we'll be talking about a few common medicines that everybody should have in their home, because right now it's, the pandemic is going on and people are scared of going to the hospital, and they should be,
They should be.
They should be. You should not go to the hospital for every small problem that you have, because it's tough for the doctors as well. Like if you come at night with when it's basically you're hindering the care that can be given to more emergent patients.
Yeah.
So there are a few medicines that you can keep in your home, and one thing is that don't self-medicate yourself for conditions that need
Hospital admission.
Yeah,
Yes.
so first thing is, if you're that's very common among Indians, is acid reflux. It's what people normally call as acidity. So if you feel, and it's also commonly mistaken for a heart attack sometimes.
Yes.
So because it mimics the symptoms of, if you have a heartburn, it mimics the symptoms of an acid reflux. So whenever you feel that you're having acidity, there's a few medicines that you should keep. One is one's a medicine called, I think it comes by the name called Pantop.
Yep.
Pantosec it comes.
Pantocid, Pantop, all these medicines contain pantoprazole sodium, which is a proton pump inhibitor. Now what these medicines do is that they prevent the secretion of acid in your stomach, and these usually come in once daily dosing, so you have to take once before meal, like 30 minutes before meal, and that should suppress your baseline acid secretion for 24 hours.
There's also a Pantop DSR, that's that comes sustained release tablet,
Yeah.
and there is also a Pantop B that comes with domperidone. Domperidone is an anti-emetic. So sometimes what happens is, when you're feeling acidity, you also feel nauseous. So it usually brings down the symptom of nausea, and in general, if you feel like you feel very, very nauseous, it will just help you. And also, please keep a Gelusil gel or Digene gel.
Digene gel, yes.
These are very helpful. You can have it post meal. So if you feel you're having acidity, take the Gelusil gel, and for the next few days, take one Pantop before meal in the morning.
Yep.
Like before your breakfast. 30 minutes before your
30
breakfast.
minutes before your meal.
I think falling down, like people fall down a lot, and any sort of trauma, you get cuts,
Little bruises, abrasions.
so for that you can do dressing at home, unless you feel like it's a laceration that needs to be stitched, then obviously you have to go to the hospital.
Yes.
So if it's a minor cut or minor trauma, you can keep these dressing materials in your house.
Yes. So the first thing that you should do when you get a small cut, is to wash it. Now most people think that it's that they need to wash it necessarily with a soap or anything. See, if it is visibly contaminated with dirt, then you should wash it with soap. But I think it's always best to put your hand under running water, right? And that will wash away all the dirt and all the grime and all the dead tissue that's there. Once you've done that, now we can move on to putting some antiseptics. So the next thing you do is that you clean the wound with a antiseptic gauze, which will contain betadine. So betadine comes in lotions, right?
So it usually comes in there's the whole bottle
Bottles
that comes.
Yeah, so you can pour some of the betadine onto the gauze piece, and you can clean the area in a antiseptic manner.
Keep cotton with you.
Keep cotton with you.
So and you can also get this antibiotic cream that's available over the counter. It's called Soframycin, and I don't know the brand name, but it's called Soframycin. Yeah,
is the brand name.
So
You can apply that and then put a cotton and then bandage the whole area. Now one thing that we need to be very careful while bandaging is that the bandage should not be very tight, because then the blood flow will be hindered, and that's not nice.
Another thing is, even for dog bites, I know obviously you have to go to the hospital, but what you can do is, don't apply anything there. If you have to do anything, just put it under running water, that's it. Do not apply anything. And even for snake bites, you should not suck out the
venom.
Yeah,
do not attempt
do not do anything. Take the person straight to the hospital.
Yes.
So another thing that females commonly go through is dysmenorrhea, that is pain during their periods, and it's something that most of us go through. So basically what you have to do is, period pain comes because of release of these inflammatory mediators, and once the inflammatory mediators have been released, it's actually kind of tough to decrease the pain.
Them, yes.
So it's better that you take the medicine before. So it's basically you're acting prophylactically. So once you start having your blood flow, pain usually starts 24 hours before for some people, or for some people, and max it should stay for 24 hours after your blood flow has started. But if it's after that, then there might be some pathology and you should get that checked.
Yes.
So what you can do is, as soon as you get your blood flow, keep an ibuprofen with you. It's called an ibuprofen, or you can keep a Meftal-Spas. These are the two medicines that you should have, and take them. Take one of them, and it should help you for at least 6 hours or so.
At least 6 hours.
6 hours or so, and then keep on taking. Take daily doses. If you miss your dose, the inflammation process will start, and it's hard to stop the pain after that.
You can also keep hot water bottles handy, which will help to increase the
blood
circulation to that area and wash out the inflammatory mediators.
Yes, and try to not drink cold stuff. I know people get cravings for cold stuff, but don't try to drink or even keep anything cold there. I've seen people keep.
I don't think ice packs will be of any
people
help.
keep ice packs there, and it actually increases the pain because of the vasoconstriction.
Yes, do not do that.
So in general, also for pain and body aches, you can take ibuprofen, but at the same time, do not abuse these medicines. Because these kinda they're all metabolized in the liver, so they affect your liver
as well as the kidney, so they can lead to interstitial nephritis. So NSAID abuse is one of the many common
causes of renal failure.
Yes. So you have to be cautious. These medicines are there to help you, but only if you let them help you. If you overuse them, then they're gonna cause a problem.
Yes. Another thing is fever. Fever is so common among.
Yes, fever happens. Yes.
And nowadays, with fever, there's obviously the scare of COVID. But apart from that, if you are showing signs of dengue or malaria, or if your tests are positive, do not self-medicate any whatever medicines you heard from people, things that you feel you've read from stuff. Just take a doctor's advice, and the only thing that you should take if you have fever or if you have dengue or malaria is paracetamol. No other medicine. Max to max, if you can take fluids in the form of ORS.
Yeah, ORS, that's important. Now I'm gonna take this moment and tell you guys about the warning signs that are important that you should know. Like if there is any person suffering from mild dengue, they might not admit your patient, because not all patients of dengue are advised admission. However, if the patient starts developing vomiting, abdominal pain, excessive nausea, or the patient starts having dark colored stools, or there's blood in the vomitus, that's one sign that you should look out for, and you have to take the patient to the doctor then, because that usually this occurs when the platelet count falls, and that's a danger sign.
And usually we give fresh frozen plasma when frozen platelets when it falls below 10K.
So the person might even need transfusion. So in these danger signs, if these are present, you have to take your patient to the hospital.
So yes, also we have diarrhea. Now what you should be knowing, diarrhea is a term that's loosely thrown around here. Diarrhea is basically when you've had 3 or more episodes of loose stools. It has to be 3 or more episodes. You cannot just say that you have diarrhea if you've just gone once and you've had 1 episode. And another thing is antibiotic abuse with respect to diarrhea.
Sometimes it can be the reason why you're having a diarrhea. So if it's an antibiotic induced diarrhea, having another antibiotic is not going to help.
And so the only thing you should be actually having in diarrhea is ORS, and people think that ORS is just for replenishing fluids, but they don't know that the zinc component in the ORS is actually helping in there to reduce the frequency of stools. And another thing is I'd like to take this moment to talk about antibiotic abuse. Do not self-medicate yourselves. Right now, shops, even medical shops, they just give antibiotics without a prescription, and people take antibiotics for common cold and for every little thing. They just take antibiotics, and it's actually gonna harm you in the future, because when you actually need antibiotics, you will be resistant to most of them, and you'll have to, you know, there'll be a hit and trial method for antibiotics, and that's not gonna help you.
So I'm just gonna take a little time and explain to you what antibiotics actually are. Now let me tell you that the things that cause disease in us, they can be divided into multiple broad groups. One of them is bacteria, then one is virus, one is fungus, one is protozoa. Now antibiotics basically are substances that prevent the growth of other substances. Now, which substances do we mean by these? We mean bacteria and we mean protozoa. So antibiotics do not work in viral diseases. So if you are giving somebody ciprofloxacin for a viral illness, it's not going to help, not at all. It's only going to cause them diarrhea, because it's going to kill the normal bacteria in your intestine and it's going to induce diarrhea, right? So whenever you're having a viral illness, you should not take an antibiotic. It's only going to increase resistance, right? So do not blindly ask your doctor for antibiotics, or blindly buy just. And one more thing I've seen is that people go to the chemist and they ask for goli de do, diarrhea ki goli de do. And what the chemist does is gives you 2 tablets of Norflux. Norflux. Now what that's gonna do is it's gonna stop your diarrhea, but that's not grossly under treating.
That's not the whole course.
That's not the whole course. So you have to complete the entire course, right? That's very, very important.
If you start antibiotics, do not stop in between. Take the whole course.
Take the whole course.
Okay, so yes, I think we'd like to conclude by talking about the normal vitamins that everybody should be taking. The most important one is B complex. B complex are a battery of vitamins that are helpful for a lot of things, and vitamins are actually so essential. They're required in very less amount, but that less amount is so essential that they're important for so many processes.
Right. Many reactions that take place in our body require the presence of vitamins, because in absence of these vitamins, many reactions cannot take place. Like let me put an example in front of you. We all know that there is a tissue known as collagen that is found in our body in abundance. Right. Now for the formation of collagen, we need vitamin C, because vitamin C is a reducing agent which is required in the formation of collagen. If a person is grossly low in vitamin C levels, so like the person has scurvy, so what happens is that the collagen cannot be formed, right? So the blood vessels, they have collagen in them, so the blood vessels will not work properly. That's why the patients who have scurvy often present with bleeding gums, or they have bleeding spots over their body.
Because the collagen is like, you can think of it as like a skin build, or like it's like a building tissue,
like a brick.
It's like a brick in your body, and if the building component, the basic thing that's required, it's not there, then obviously your body will show signs.
It will show signs. So even though vitamins are required in very little amount the entire day, you need to take them. Yes. Skipping them can cause multiple manifestations. So vitamin B is important, vitamin C is important. Especially when you have a diarrhea-like illness, you need to take care that all those vitamins which are water soluble,
you take them, because
you need to take them as supplements. So vitamin B and C are water soluble, right? So that's important.
And it's your choice if you want to take them the natural way. Normally in natural way, the amount that goes in is a bit less, but you can for vitamin C you can have citrus fruits and
lemon.
Yes, but if you're like grossly deficient, then you should definitely take supplements. These are available over the counter, I think, for B complex, and it's called Neurobion Forte.
Yes.
Or there is something called Bicosul, which has zinc in it.
Yes.
And vitamin D is so important, especially for postmenopausal women. It comes in the form of shell cal tablets, that is calcium in it, and vitamin D in it, and cholecalciferol tablets, or sachets, which you have to take once weekly.
Yes, once weekly.
Yes.
Although we need to be very careful in the fact that sometimes excess intake of these vitamins can cause toxicosis. So do not blindly continue eating them. Take them for 2 months and then stop.
Yes. So I think we're gonna end the video here. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments and we'll definitely try to answer them.
Please like and subscribe.